Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer podcast coming right at you with myself, Gary Striker, and the Qooligan and his fingers waving. Good morning, Qooligan. How are you?
They're called magic fingers. They're very closely related to jazz hands.
Jazz hands, that's true. And an evolution, perhaps, of the jazz hands. There we go. So today there's so much stuff going on around the world. We were just trying to pack all of this into the agenda. We're going to do a quick wrap up of the Champions League and then sort of how the bracket looked going into the quarterfinal knockout phases. Then there's the Carabao Cup. We're going to briefly touch on that. Premier League weekend picks, and of course, game week 4 of the MLS season, as well as some other stuff and deviations and side conversations, all within under 40 minutes.
Deviations,
as there tend to be with us.
So true.
So let's get into it. Qooligan, it's now Thursday. We just obviously finished up the Champions League knockout phases. You and I kind of, I'm going to say live stream, but we were chatting while the penalties were going on with that Real Madrid Atletico Madrid game. And wow, that was well, I didn't even realize that was a rule that you can't touch the ball twice before a penalty or it would be disallowed or it would not count. And well, now I know
about the double touch rule.
How many times do you touch a ball when you're taking a penalty?
Firstly, the double touch rule is one of the mainstays, right, of the laws of the game. And that essentially states that from a dead ball position, upon a restart, a player can't touch the ball twice. Now, that makes perfect sense. Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because otherwise, players would just they would just start dribbling the ball.
This is true.
Got it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's a completely and utterly logical law.
Yep.
But in this particular scenario, Gary, I'm going to say the law is crap. It's total bullshit. And I'm using that word intentionally. It's cruel. It's cruel bullshit.
It's cruel.
And here's the reason why. Intentionality. Now, I'm not a huge fan of putting intentionality into the laws, right? They tried that with handling. There had to be intentional handling. Listen, intentionality is something that, one, you can never prove. It's completely and utterly subjective. A double touch is not subjective. You touch the ball twice, you're guilty. End of story. It's like offsides. You either are or you're not. Okay? It's a very Boolean scenario.
It is. Yep. It's very clear.
But in this particular event, it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Because there was no intention of the player, right? He literally just slipped. He still struck the ball. It still went in the net. In my opinion, that should be a goal.
That should be, but again, as you say,
that's an opinion, not a determination of the laws of the game. And under the laws of the game, they were 100% accurate. I hate to say it.
They did.
They were 100% accurate. And okay. I mean, listen, that's the way, it's the way it goes. Like, had it been an arbitrary line drawn across the field to determine an offsides, you'd still be questioning. Yeah. But at least you have an answer. In this case, the answer is very clear.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if you see an amendment to the laws that maybe cover this. I don't know. Again, it's hard because then you would have to write in intentionality in the very specific scenario of a penalty kick or a kick from the spot.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see that.
It's going to be hard. And again, it was such a freak.
I find it, all things aside.
It is
true. As exciting as the matches were, I can sum up the entire Champions League in one word.
Boring. That's it. Boring? Really?
Dull.
Come on.
Dull as fuck. Sorry. Hold on. I'm not talking about the actual fixtures themselves. The soccer's exciting.
Yes.
In some cases. Some of the games were very exciting. Some other games, it didn't matter because the result was inevitable. But the end result, same old dumbass teams. Sorry.
Well, it's the cream.
And I'm like, okay.
Well,
no, I'm looking at it and I go, okay.
The cream has risen to the top. I will say that Aston Villa are definitely the outlier. They are not traditionally there.
That's the one exception. And by the way, that's the only exception in the 8 remaining teams. Other than that, it's the same old. It's the usual suspects.
It's the big.
And maybe that's a proponent for this sort of quote Super League, because I mean, if it's going to be the same teams over and over again, why go through all the rigmarole? Why?
Oh wow!
Why bother?
Well, we go for the entertainment within the games and sort of the action and the spice that comes along with it. Even, I mean, we were discussing yesterday about that Real Madrid Atletico game, right? Conor Gallagher scored in the first minute, and then the rest of it there was no other goals. But wow, it was exciting.
There was an exciting game.
Vinicius, it was all back to back.
No dispute about the quality of some of the matches. Not gonna argue that. But it does. You get this feeling of, here we are again.
Here we are again. Exactly.
And so for the supporters of those 8 clubs, this is a great time. Yeah. And a big moment, and everybody's feeling good. As a supporter of none of those clubs, yeah, I can honestly say I don't care. It means nothing to me. I am happier to watch the big clubs go out more than I am to see them succeed. And I know that I am not in the minority here. There are lots of people who share the same feeling that I do. Please, I'm now imploring upon you, make your voices heard, people.
Is this why you wrote this Crystal Palace into Europe article last night, and that one got published?
No, I wrote that Crystal Palace into Europe article because I was high on cold meds, and because it could happen. Will it happen? Oh, I don't think so. But a person can dream, Gary. And I don't think I actually laid out a scenario that was completely improbable.
No, it's very cogent. It's very realistic. They are having a great run of form.
I looked at the fixtures and I studied and I said, these are realistic results that could happen based on this and that and the other thing. And I mean, I'll tell you this, I would have a better chance of winning the NCAA tournament bracketology, right? And picking a perfect bracket, then I think Crystal Palace advancing through and getting into European qualification. But I mean, what the hell? It's still a good thought exercise.
It is a good thought exercise. And look at us deviating there, Real. Crystal Palace in Europe.
Anyway, we got it. I already broke us out of the mold and completely and utterly crapped upon your precious Champions League. I apologize for that.
No. Well, it's just because Chelsea are not in it as well. I'm kind of looking at all the games with interest as well, rather than just focusing on the Chelsea game. So I agree with you.
That's fair.
That's fair.
And I do have to say one thing. I am curious to see if Barcelona can now go all the way. I didn't really think, based upon any of their earlier work, that they were all that in a basket of crisps.
Yeah.
Or a basket of chips and a packet of crisps. I don't know. It's your language, Gary. It's not mine. But I really think that Lamal and Rafinha are just so sparkling. Wow.
They are. Yeah.
Right? I just would love, I don't know. I mean, I know Barcelona has already won it and whatnot, but if Aston Villa can't do the business, and I think they're going to get the cold ice water of reality splashed upon them at some point. I mean, sure, let's give it to Barcelona,
Yeah. So you think Barcelona? Well, I mean, that being said, it's PSG are definitely worth that both of those Liverpool matches, both legs against Liverpool, they owned Liverpool in the first leg, and then Liverpool just couldn't score against them in the second leg. I mean, it looked really fun. It was really fun just watching sort of, again, the defense, just defending. Dembele looks really good, by the way. He looks absolutely fantastic. And
Dembele's,
yeah. And
he's legit. Yeah,
what Luis Enrique seems to have done is like turn that whole club around from, as they say, the sort of Parisian Galacticos and all the superstars to actual sort of a well-oiled team that operates as one cohesive unit. And it really was impressive. It really was. So we're going to get PSG going against Aston Villa. And interestingly, there is a Marcus Asensio is going to be playing against his parent club, right? Which is interesting because he's on loan from PSG to Villa. So there's that. He's been in form, scoring lots of goals. I think he scored 6 goals already in the first 6 goals so far. So that's going to be an interesting one. I don't see Villa getting past PSG, and PSG will then either have to come up against Real or Arsenal. And again, Real, they just don't lose in this competition. They just don't lose. The technicalities, the gods, the football gods, whatever you want to call them, seem to come through for Real Madrid, don't they? And as we saw that again, go back.
They're going to lose.
somewhere along the line.
Well,
but I don't think it's going to be to Arsenal.
They're going to lose because they're whingy bastards. I'm sorry, I hate that team. No, I got no love for it. I got no love for a team that spends money making derogatory comments about referees and then like relies on a technicality that a referee sees that nobody else saw in real time.
Yeah.
In order to end up winning the game. I'm sorry. That's hypocrisy, and that's hypocrisy, and
That's wow, we're in a salty mood this morning. But it's
I think the cold meds wore off, and I'm just like, and I'm feeling it.
Wow,
I am
really going in for it. Well, let's.
If I don't get codeine quick, hey.
Yeah, there we go. Well, we'll see. Well, happy Qooligan rather than salty Qooligan. So I think we'll see how obviously these rounds have come in 2 weeks' time as well. So it'll be exciting to see what happens and how they shake out as well. But if as long as the quality of the games are as good as they were in that round of 16, we're in for a treat. Even if none of the teams that you care about,
even though I won't care about the outcome, I still want to have good games. I mean, if you're going to play good, play well,
play well,
make it spicy, make it exciting, 100%.
The one thing that's interesting now is obviously Liverpool will move on to them because they're playing in the Carabao Cup final against Newcastle this Sunday. Yeah. And again, so Arne Slot has his opportunity to get his first piece of silverware of the season. And again, they look to be really on for, even the treble. And so I do wonder if this being knocked out at this phase kind of maybe disheartens them a little bit and maybe impacts them going into the game on Sunday. Although it will be, Newcastle are going to have to really turn up to sort of win this one, hey?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think they're pissed.
Yeah,
I think they're pissed. I think they're pissed, and they're gonna be coming out. They're gonna be coming out all pistons firing.
Yeah.
I would be really mindful if I was Newcastle because Isak hasn't necessarily been at 100%. They're going through some injury woes. There's some questions in the Newcastle side.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think Liverpool will have a field day with them. But you never know. You never know. I just think they're too disappointed. They're too angry. So. Yeah, watch out for Liverpool, kids.
And watch out, Newcastle. They're coming for you. I do wonder as well if because they got knocked out of this Champions League phase, does that impact any of the three players who are sort of, contracts are expiring, Van Dijk, Salah, or Alexander-Arnold? I think we could probably agree Alexander-Arnold's probably going to go to Real, but does Van Dijk then maybe think, maybe I go and give PSG a go, or maybe I go elsewhere? I know there's all these things. We'll see how this shakes out.
Van Dijk was always going to be a bit of a I think Van Dijk was always going to be a bit of a question. He could leave. I think Salah's already signed. My personal opinion is that Salah's already been locked in. They haven't announced it yet.
They just said keep it quiet and just keep it under wraps. We don't want to derail.
Yeah, because it's a distraction. It's a distraction for everybody else, and they don't need to do that. But I think the way he's playing, his level of focus, there's no doubt that Liverpool did not lose against PSG because of these contract issues causing any. Liverpool has managed this contract dispute with the three dispute. It's just an expiration.
Yes. It's
an expiration, a renewal. It has handled it with aplomb and with some grace. There's been no disruption to the team. That's difficult to do. And in this day and age where you see superstar players, like Mbappe, like Vinicius, and not to call out those two because for anything, but players who immediately start going into player first mode and wrecking the chemistry within a team. Yeah. As they pursue their own individual agendas.
Yeah. Yeah. The agents get involved. Yeah. That's
Salah is playing his guts out because that's what he does. And he also is helping the team at the same time and thereby also strengthening his own position.
I agree.
Trent and Virgil are doing the same. They're not none of them are slowing down, taking their foot off the gas, or doing anything that indicates that there's any trouble in the locker room at all.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So I agree with you. They've definitely been handled very well. I do agree with you. I still think there is still question marks about Van Dijk and Arnold, Alexander Arnold. But yeah, we'll see how this shakes out. And again, as once if they do lock away the Carabao Cup, again, we can agree that also as well the Premier League is there to lose, and that would not be a bad season as a first season for Arne Slot, manager of the season, in spite of all the wonderfulness that's happened at Nottingham Forest. But yeah, he's really delivered and managed that squad so well, and yeah, he's done really, really well. Okay, so we will move over to the rest of the other games in England, the Premier League going on. We've got, obviously, there's a number of fixtures that are not being played. There's only going to be 8 games rather than the usual 10. And as we discussed beforehand, we realized the Newcastle Palace game has been postponed because Newcastle are in the cup final, of course, and same thing with Villa Liverpool. They played earlier on in February to get that fixture out of the way. So out of the remaining fixtures that we have, any picks out there that jump out at you? I see obviously your beloved Palace are playing against, Palace are not playing, sorry, should I say.
Not playing. We played today. Said. Gary, we played against HamCam today.
What?
I don't even know where HamCam is, but we played and beat them 1-0.
Well, there we go. Well, so just keep everyone fit.
Which seems like a low score line, but that's okay. A win's a win's a win.
A win is a win is a win indeed. So tell me, any of the games that are coming out this weekend that sort of catch your attention that you'll be interested in following, or you think there are any narratives that are worth covering?
I mean, City Brighton is a big one.
Yes.
Right? City Brighton is a big one.
Brighton could, if they win, and they've been on a good run of form lately, they could actually go ahead of Man City, which will be fascinating.
Well, that's exactly right. And they are in good form. In fact, there are only 3 teams that have had. Well, no, that's not true. Excuse me. The only team that has had better form than Brighton over the last 5 games is Liverpool, with 4 wins and a draw. Brighton have 4 wins and a loss. Right behind them, Crystal Palace, 4 wins and a loss.
That's making that charge into Europe.
Those are the 3 teams in the best form right now in the Premier League. It shocks me to say it, but there you go. Right. So maybe my cold meds weren't all that crazy. I don't know.
I think honestly that they maybe they allowed you to dream a little bit, but it's as you say, if Palace keep that form up, they will get there. They will get there. They will get there. But they have to keep that form up.
I like having that affirmation, and I do appreciate you supporting me in that, Gary. No, City Brighton, I think is going to be that's a good fixture, and like you said, I mean, City have been so wobbly. Brighton could just go in there and take it. The other one that really captures there's 2 more that capture my eye, and that is Arsenal, Chelsea, obviously. I think that is listen, Arsenal have nothing left to play for. The league to them is nothing. These are pride games now. And Arteta is not going to allow that team to slack off, right? He will demand a title race type of commitment and effort out of his club. I have no idea what in the hell Maresca is going to ask out of Chelsea, because that team is so inconsistent that
they're all over the place, aren't they?
I mean,
they
could come in and whoop Arsenal's ass, or they could just come in and get their ass whooped, and either one of them, or it could be a nil-nil scoreline. You never know.
What's interesting is while I think Arsenal, obviously, we know of Arsenal's inability to score in the Premier League, and obviously their striking situation that they've had. Chelsea's defense, on the other hand, is not exactly rock solid as well. So it's kind of, again, two blunt objects going up against each other. So that will be, and then Chelsea has some scoring issues as well. And if Cole Palmer's still off the boil and can't sort of make them tick, they'll have trouble scoring goals against an Arsenal defense, which is, I think, it's the best in the Premier League. Actually, they've conceded the least goals all season of 24. Liverpool was the second best of 27. So Arsenal that's what's keeping them there, is that really good defense. They've just drawn too many games and lost too many games, and just not scored enough, right? So that would be it. I agree with you. That's definitely the interesting one to see. I am also this Leicester Man United. Again, I think, unfortunately, again, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Leicester losing five go in the 5 on the row. Obviously, again, Ruud van Nistelrooy going back to his old club, which he was as manager at, and then Man United.
Actually, no. This time it's his old club coming to visit.
Yes, you're right.
Coming to visit, King Power Stadium. So
coming to visit there.
Oh my God. It's like one of those things where, Gary, how to put this and how to phrase this. If there's any, I don't know. I mean, I could see Manchester United falling.
Yeah.
I could see it. I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah.
But because I think Leicester are just so woeful, and if it does happen, it's going to be because of some individual greatness. Like Vardy had a hell of a game the last time he played. I mean, he was in fuego.
He did. They lost.
It wasn't enough, but he was just back to his old, spicy self.
Indeed. Yeah,
I think it could happen. I don't think it will, but
Yeah.
And then in the real relegation battle match, Southampton's hosting Wolves.
Yeah.
And I think Southampton's done. I think everybody knows they're done, but I would not put it past Southampton to really make a solid game out of this. And Cunha's still out, and Wolves they were able last week to pull something out without Cunha, but I don't know how much that's going to continue. So that could be, if I was going for like a bizarre upset of the week, I would say it's the Southampton Wolves game, not the Leicester Man U game.
Wow. Okay. And then Ipswich against
Ipswich has no
Forest,
chance against
no
Forest.
chance against Forest.
No
Forest have been.
Forest. No.
Yeah, Forest.
That's done. Ipswich is at home, and as we all know, that is like the death knell to Ipswich is playing at home. They just cannot win in front of their own crowd. It sucks
as well, right?
So rough.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then I know you've also, how much you're not a big Everton fan, playing against West Ham as well. So David Moyes is going back to his old, going back there. I know you're not there. Again, I think I think because of the nature of what's going on at both top end and bottom end of the table, as we've discussed, it's kind of, it's pretty much sort of settled. We know who the three going down. I mean, already there's such daylight already between Ipswich and Wolves, obviously, with that sort of, what is that, 6 points? Yeah, 6 points different, 2 wins.
Well, here's the thing. All it requires, and there's enough games left, that it is not a done deal. True. It is possible. I mean, Palace have been in this space. Lots of teams have been in this space where they're sitting in that 17th, 18th position, right? They're sitting in that 18th, 19th position, and then you get that remarkable run of form. I mean, all a team needs is like 4 wins in a row, or a couple of wins and a couple of draws on the other side, and boom, all of a sudden, the tables quickly are turned.
Yeah, quite literally.
I wouldn't put it out. I just don't think these fixtures this week grant much hope.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ipswich has it, not against Forest, and I don't think Leicester will do the deal against Man U.
No, that's fair. Okay. Well, that covers up. The one other thought I had was just the other sort of the noise and the news around it was, obviously you saw Jim Ratcliffe, the Manchester United new sort of minority, but he has a sort of 25% stake in Man United, trying to turn it around. It went on a bit of a PR offensive after all of the negative sort of press that was going on. And he was really candid, I have to say. And he really sort of came out and sort of spelled it out and started talking about sort of like the finances and why they had to make sort of such aggressive cuts to sort of food for the staff and those kind of things.
Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. There's nothing more than Ineos corporate doublespeak.
I don't disagree with that, but I mean, the statements that was coming out, again, I don't think he says these things lightly. One of the ones which is, if we didn't make some of the cuts as well, we'd be out of business in November. We would run out of money in November.
No, it's not true. All he has to do is just tell the Glazers to stop pulling money out of the club.
Stop pulling money, or put some of more of his own.
He doesn't have to furlough all these people here or there. That's nonsense.
Well, but
sorry,
working within the constraints of all the sort of the FFP and the sort of PSR and all those kind of things, it does lead me to believe that they're in a situation like, come the transfer window, like they're not going to have much to work with in terms of being able to actually go and bring in and recruit talent in the transfer window at the end of the year.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that statement. Yes.
And next season, so like, what changes? What I think, are you just going to see more of the sort of the same sort of rot that is happening at the moment? So it will be interesting to see how they get off and what happens at the end of next season.
All that basically says, though, to me, is Amorim knows that he's safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can't fire him
because they can't afford to let another coach go. They have already dropped millions just in terminating coaches and signing new coaches. And listen, that alone could have saved everybody's jobs. Listen, don't believe a word that comes out of that man's mouth. It's just nothing there. It is complete and utter PR.
Just saving himself. Wow. Okay. Well,
no, it really is. And it really is, because let's be blunt. They also, on the same day that he had that interview with Gary Neville, unveil plans for 100,000 seat stadium that's going to rival
$2 billion stadium. So where's the money coming from? How are you paying for this all of a sudden? Yeah.
Come on.
No, it's.
But we would have been bankrupt by November.
Yeah, it does. You're right. It does.
Those things they don't match. They don't add up.
It was a head scratcher, wasn't it? It was an absolute head scratcher.
I mean, like, is Ratcliffe doing this interview and Manchester United, like, PR team doesn't know, and they go, "Oh, it'd be great if we just do both at the same time."
Yeah, it's coordinated. Yeah. Wow.
There you go.
Salty, smelling through the bullshit. The Qooligan as always. Look at that.
I mean, I'm not afraid to speak truth to assholery, man, and that's a classic example of that.
There it is. Wonderful. Okay, well let's move on and then get into the MLS game week 4. Last week, obviously, I know we touched on a little bit the sort of the last recording that we did, and I know tonight we've got the final sort of round of the CONCACAF Cup. Obviously, we've got Messi and co going to Jamaica, which is obviously an exciting one, and then LAFC? No, LAFC are through. Sorry, LAFC are playing. No, the Galaxy are through because they won, but LAFC play tonight as well.
No, they do not. LAFC played earlier in the week against Columbus Crew.
They did. Okay. Yeah, yes, you're right. Okay, there we go. Thank you for keeping us honest as always, Qooligan. That's it. So yes, it's the two Mexicans.
It's the
Mexican
Costa Rican club winner versus one of the other Mexican teams that's still in it. Hold on. I know Monterrey already went through. It's Pumas.
There we go. I was
about to say, it's not Tigres, it's Pumas. So
Tigres. Yeah. And so we've got, if Miami win that, which you'd assume they would, obviously they then go on and they will face LAFC. That's where I was trying to get to with this, is I believe they will face LAFC in the
that is
in the cup. And so just sort of then bringing that forward through to the weekend in terms of the MLS and some of the matches that you've got going on there. Any picks for you that jump out, sort of matches that you're going to sort of prioritize?
Well, I mean, Inter Miami's playing Philadelphia Union, and this is interesting only because Philadelphia Union have surprised, I think, everybody coming out with 3 straight victories.
Miami are playing Philadelphia this weekend. Are you sure about that? Are you sure it's not Atlanta United?
Well, unless I'm looking at the wrong game week.
I think it could be because Philadelphia are playing Nashville by my research.
Well, my goodness, maybe I'm looking at the... Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the 28th of March. What? That's not going to work at all.
No, that's not going to work.
Woo! It's great when you make a decision based on inaccurate data.
What's that?
Which I apparently have done.
What is that famous saying?
Wow.
I think it's a Mark Twain saying, right? It's not what you don't know that will get you into trouble. It's just what you know for sure that just ain't so.
I generally like go with the more pithy garbage in, garbage out. All right, hold on. I'm readjusting my time frame.
Okay, well, while you're
I'm putting a pin in my predictions because
we're not editing this out. This is staying.
I'm looking 2 weeks in advance because I'm always thinking one step ahead of you, Gary. This time it's 2 weeks ahead of you.
Evidently.
What a schlemiel. Oh my God.
Goodness. Wow, you've really
so Atlanta's playing Inter. That's still a good fixture.
That's a good fixture. That is definitely a good fixture.
Atlanta's not necessarily. Let me see if I'm not mistaken. I mean. Yeah, Atlanta's not doing great, right? They're 1-1-1. So, I mean, from a footballing perspective, this isn't so good. But from a crowd perspective, I mean, we should have 60,000 plus fans in that stadium.
That's incredible.
Making a ton of noise. So that's great for that. Yeah.
And so just to confirm, Atlanta, they have their own stadium? Atlanta United, they have their own stadium or they share?
No, they play in Mercedes-Benz. They play in the same stadium as the Atlanta Falcons.
As the Falcons.
The NFL's Atlanta Falcons, right?
Yeah.
Because the owner of Atlanta United also owns the Falcons, so they use the same stadium.
They just do that.
And they fill that thing. They get more people at the Atlanta United games than they do at the Falcon games.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
well, that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. Okay.
100%.
That's absolutely fantastic.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. That will definitely be a good game to watch. Obviously, if we're just looking at sort of the leagues and obviously where they're sitting as well. I mean, yeah, they really do need to win that one as well, Atlanta, because obviously they came off it. They didn't do it against last week again was against Charlotte, not last week, the week before against Charlotte. So they need to definitely sort of play that one for sure. I am going to be watching Portland Galaxy just because I know they got a result finally, sort of the first result, but the Galaxy are not looking good.
No.
And Portland, while they're not also great either, that's going to be sort of a real scrap down there at the bottom of the Western Conference.
It will be, but Portland are always tough to play at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the crowd in Portland really does support their team. It's a fantastic stadium and it's loud as hell. So that'll be it should be a great matchup. I like that call. I'm looking at San Diego and Columbus. You got a very strong ascendant San Diego, and you have a Columbus team that is also equally that is matching them in record. Right,
Mm-hmm.
They're both undefeated, both with 2 wins and 1 draw.
Yep,
something's going to give.
Even. Yep,
something's going to give, and and Columbus are angry at getting eliminated by LAFC. They actually played they didn't play too well in their first match. They actually beat LAFC this week in the CONCACAF Cup. It didn't matter because the aggregate score went LAFC. But they have been a dominant, possession-based, steady build, convert the attack team. So we'll see how San Diego really deals with that. Yeah. So
I wonder if Anders Dreyer will score again as well, obviously sitting at the top scoring, second in the top scorer alongside Christian Benteke of DC United.
That's right.
But yeah, I agree with you as well.
Who, by the way, are playing the worst team in the MLS right now, Montreal, right?
Worse than Galaxy? Are they worse than Galaxy, would you say, Montreal?
Yeah, because I mean, when it comes to goal differential, no, but when it comes to looking at the level of depth of talent, yes. Sorry, but Montreal just doesn't have it. Not compared. I mean, Galaxy has, at least what you saw against Herediano was that Galaxy do have the talent to be able to turn it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure Montreal has the depth of talent to be able to turn it on, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm watching that one going, and they're going down to DC. I'm looking at DC with Benteke to put some hurt on him.
Yep.
I mean, I'd go far as to say that you could probably pick DC to score at least 2 goals, maybe 3, and you'd be pretty safe.
Yeah.
And then you've got to keep an eye on Vancouver, man. This Vancouver Whitecaps team could be legit.
Okay.
They are undefeated in MLS right now. They did a remarkable job of squeaking by in the CONCACAF Cup.
Against Monterrey, they just got
against
through there,
Monterrey.
Didn't they?
I mean, they didn't look great, but they found it, and they shocked the hell out of Monterrey. I mean, getting those 2 goals in the second half was an absolute backbreaker, because those away goals, and Monterrey realized it. They're like, crap. Yeah, we actually have to win, right? Because if we draw, we lose, right?
They got through on away goals and just did
once it went past 1-1, they're like, we're going to lose on the away goal rule, and they, Anyway.
And interesting as well, and just looking at that result, obviously, this Sergio Ramos scored a penalty and sort of very, very late as well. So they were cruising, as you say, got their second half goals, but Monterrey with Sergio Ramos and co just unfortunately couldn't quite do it.
I mean, it was moot. It didn't matter. I don't think and it was one of those things where sure it made it exciting, but in the end it didn't matter. Once Brian White got that goal in, and that was it's kind of fluky. But I mean, he still had to take the ball with his back turned to the goal, provide a pivot, and put it in. It's a beautiful finish by him. Like really, really solid. So
it was.
You can see why he got selected for the American. How he got his call up for the United States.
Yeah, no, it's well done to him for sure. Yeah. The one thing that's also now getting interesting as well, as sort of all of these, new competitions are popping up and sort of, there's all this sort of soccer going on around the world. I don't know about you, but I've suddenly had to start like changing gear with my mind. So for example, right, we had the Champions League, same level, Champions League knockout, changed the rules. Obviously there's no away goal. But now when you go and watch the CONCACAF, and there is the away goal rule as well. So this, all of a sudden, you notice how these different sort of nuances to the rules and to the structure of the format and those kind of things. Is there extra time? Does it go to penalties? Is it just straight to penalties? Are there replays? Are there not? And it's becoming, even for sort of myself, who I like to think is fairly sort of knowledgeable in this space, it's getting confusing. It's getting quite confusing.
Yeah, as it can be.
Remind me, what are the rules again exactly of this competition before I go and watch it and understand it? It's definitely sort of again and sort of just an observation that I've noticed, which I think again, I don't know if you want to. They're not going to do something black.
I'm not going to. You're entirely correct, and if I may divulge and deviate just for a quick second, it's the exact same in youth soccer officiating as well. I officiate for 5 different leagues. And in those, there are 3 different sets of rules.
Wow. Yeah.
And when you count high school, they actually operate on a completely and utterly different set of rules around substitutions, everything.
Yeah. Substitutions.
So, substitution rules, when you can substitute, number of
subs and all these things.
The duration of the game by age group changes depending on what league that you're doing. It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
I hear you. Even as I'm coaching my kids' pee-wee team as well. Oh, wait, is it kick-ins or throw-ins here as well? And it sort of changes. And wait, can we header or can we not header as well? It's certainly sort of it's there. No, look, I understand for the age groups, but again, just at that professional level, there is.
No, but at the professional level, it's no different because each confederation gets to set its own rules about how it wants to determine the winner. Nothing wrong with that, but yes, it does. It can make it complicated, and FIFA dictates the laws of the game. But the laws of the game do allow for variation based upon a number of different scenarios, and determining the outcome of a game is one of those areas where you're allowed to opt in, whether you want to do extra time or go straight to the mark or do whatever it is. It's fine.
Yeah. It's
and if it means that you have to do some additional homework, Gary, I'm all for it. You need to read more.
I was going to say, me and homework as well. I don't do my homework, that's for sure. I definitely don't do my homework. So yeah, that's why I have you here, just to keep everything in line. Although I did get you on the MLS Game Week 4 when you were looking at the wrong one.
I totally messed that up. Yeah, fully own it. Looked at the wrong week. Okay.
Innocent mistake.
Hey, you want to ask me about 2 weeks from now? I am prepped.
Well, we'll do that next week as well. So that's it. There we go. Yeah, definitely. That's that game. Wonderful. Well, Qooligan, as always, bounced around the world of soccer. Some big games is coming up this weekend. It'll be exciting. We'll be back again next week, obviously, to wrap up Premier League, MLS, and then also as well next week. And then we've got the international breaks coming up as well, right? We do.
And during that time, we're going to talk a lot about the USL. Because we'll have a couple of games underfoot for the USL and begin to see who's winning, who's losing, and all that good stuff.
All that wonderful stuff. Wonderful. Until then, Qooligan, as always, thank you.
Peace.